still loading.
I get those goosebumps every time, yeah, 713 through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? I'm flying, slipping low-key. I'm slipping low-key and honest, like a rider. I get those goosebumps every time. I'm hard to make everything for fun.
Yeah, the duties were fair in Premier. Newcastle United.
I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around me, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Off the mugs. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Loading Mag NUFC. The big match preview away days is back, and we're back to talk all about it. And I say we're back. Chris will be joining us very shortly. He was on just before we went live, but there's a few technical issues, Wi-Fi, and he'll come and join us very shortly. And hopefully Daz will be able to join us by the end of the show. He's been on, of course, family duties. We only do this part-time, so we enjoy the fact that we spend time with our families as well. So hopefully Daz will come and join us in the end. But we're back, and I have to say, after this weekend's results, and to coin a phrase, has already touched on it, we will touch on it as well. I want to get Chris's opinions on this too. It becomes even bigger, the Monday night football, and I cannot wait for it now. It's a big one. And look, let's get into it straight away because our guest is waiting. As you know, people in the chat, the only way we do this is getting the opposition's view. And it's an absolute pleasure to welcome in Locks from the Blue Tinted Glasses. Let's welcome in. How you doing, Locks?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, glad to be back. Can I just say, by the way, obviously this is the second time on the channel, and the intro, the music, mate, it gets me up for it every time. I was feeling a bit tired, and I hear the music, and I'm ready to go, mate. So
that's the one. It enters always a special tune for very special occasions, and of course, Goosebumps is something that's well renowned with Loaded Mag NUFC. But no, look, it's a pleasure to have you on, Locks, and of course, Chris is back, Wi-Fi intact. Get in. We'll be discussing it all. But just housekeeping before we get started. Of course, we've got people in the chat. Make sure you're clicking those likes. Make sure, if you're new to the channel, subscribing to all things Loaded Mag NUFC. And of course, make sure you're subscribing to Blue Tinted Glasses as well for all Locks' reactions, previews to all of everything in the show. Make sure that you're getting involved in that too, because we work with many channels, and we always encourage our community to go subscribe elsewhere as well. So great to have you all on. And what is going on there? What's happened there?
Weird. It's all right.
What's going on now? There we go. We're back. We're back. We switched tabs, and it's just thrown us all off, and we're all going a bit mad. But yeah, look. Locks, we'll come to you because we've got some Newcastle stuff to cover as well. I want to get your opinions on this as well. But we'll come to you from your perspective. Of course, it's been confirmed Southampton have been relegated today, having lost to Tottenham Hotspur. It's not been a great season for you, Locks. I know you on the group chats you've been very, very vocal on your opinions of Leicester City, and you know what, rightly so, mate. Absolutely rightly so. And so we're in a position now where you are sort of second from bottom in the Premier League, 17 points on the board, if I'm right in thinking. what has gone wrong, mate, this season? Like, why has it put you in this position? Because I have to say, when we talked about, it was earlier on in the season, you were one of the teams out of the three that were kind of expected to stay up. So just talk to us. Why do you find yourself in this precarious position where, potentially in the next few weeks, it could be confirming that you're relegated as well?
Well, I think it can actually now happen as early as next Sunday. I'm pretty, yeah. I think that's when it could, or the Sunday after. Sorry, when we play Liverpool, the 20th. What went wrong? What's gone wrong? I think you have to start back in the summer. I think we get promoted and our manager gets taken. He gets bought out. Enzo Maresca. He wasn't the biggest fan favorite at Leicester, but there's no denying he kind of took us out of a real bad rut that we were in after the relegation before, and he took us back up first time of trying. And I think to have him, because look, like the last thing we thought at the end of that season was Chelsea going to come in and take Enzo Maresca and Dewsbury Hall, right? Our player of the season. We didn't think that was going to be the case, and that kind of started the summer off, in turmoil, really. Then we were on a manager hunt whilst also trying to recruit. We were linked with all sorts of names last summer. Graham Potter, so obviously Steve Cooper. It didn't start off well, and it kind of continued that way. We obviously got Cooper in. A lot of the fans didn't really fancy him, as you know. I definitely didn't. But what I will say is, look, I will stand by the decision to sack Steve Cooper because I think that we would have been relegated regardless. I thought there was a trend, and but the problem was the appointment, his replacement. That was the problem. Yeah. Why we chose Rude, I'm not sure exactly. I mean, did them beating us twice, stuffing us twice in the space of 2 weeks play a part, United? You'd hope not. You'd hope not that that they didn't base their decision off that. The other managers available at the time, David Moyes, I don't think he was ever going to come. He obviously had Everton in his sights, and what a decision from there and from him, to make that move, because he's turned them around. Carlos Corberán was another option. Apparently, we didn't want to pay the £3 or £4 million release clause compensation, and now he's at Valencia, and he's turned their season around there. So we ended up with Rude, and honestly, mate, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in football from my own eyes. I mean, I've been watching football in Leicester since I was probably like 8 years old. I think I probably started getting into football, and the shambles on and off the pitch is like nothing else. It's horrific, mate.
I've got some things to throw up, and I apologize if it makes you feel a bit worse, but I couldn't believe the couple of things that I've seen over the last few days. One was a tweet out. Chris, you might have seen this yourself, so definitely throw in with your opinions on this as well. This is just something that was tweeted out the other day. In the last 15 Premier League games, the only win against Tottenham away, which actually was a really good result. I watched that game. You played well, but to not even have any draws in that, mate, it's just absolute losses all over the place. And look, I'll throw the other thing in as well, and we can discuss them, one at a time. This that came out the other day shocked me. So John Percy reported from the Telegraph, Ruud van Nistelrooy acts as Harry Winks from the squad over Raul over a 100-mile commute. So he's not even living in Leicester. He's making a 100-mile commute apparently, and he's refused to move closer or refused to demand a stay for one night a week. Mate, I'm sure you've covered this on your content. What is going on with both the run of form being so bad, but that situation with Ruud van Nistelrooy and Harry Winks, like, it's crazy.
Yeah, so there is context to this now. So I mean, there was also something else. John Percy did another piece probably about 6 weeks ago saying that there's actually 3 first-team players that travel over 100 miles every day to training. Now, with the Harry Winks situation, we're led to believe from sources even closer to the club than Percy is that Winks has been staying at the training ground once a week for the season. The reason he didn't stay on this occasion was because his wife had just given birth. And in response to that article coming out, Harry Winks posted a photo on Instagram of his newborn baby. And a fan commented saying, "Oh, so this is why you refused to stay at the training ground." And he liked that reply. Okay. So, but it has kicked off there because of it. And this isn't actually the first time this has happened with Ruud. He actually fell out with Facundo Buonanotte back in January because of the type of boots he was wearing. So apparently Ruud brought Buonanotte off the bench in one of the games to try and make an impact. He slipped over like 3 or 4 times. And apparently Ruud went in on him after the game. And yeah, absolutely blasted him. And now he barely gets a kick for Facundo Buonanotte. So on top of that, Vestergaard as well. So there was a piece that came out with Yannick Vestergaard. Yannick Vestergaard apparently has been bringing his dog to training. Only once or twice, but he brought his dog to training. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And obviously when you're going through a bad time like Leicester are, there's always these stories that come out that get leaked to the press and then everything, goes into meltdown. But mate, at the minute, it just seems like chaos.
It really, really does. Daz, welcome in. I knew you'd be able to join us at some point. It's great to have you.
What have I missed? Is the dog starting? Against us on Monday night?
We've got a few dogs, mate. Trust me, in our team. Yeah, we've got a few of them.
Nice to meet you, lads.
Nice to meet you, mate.
It's a wild situation. We'll just talk about the Harry Winks situation, Daz, and obviously the 15, the 15 sort of last 15 games, as it's touched on there, with all the losses, only one win in there. Chris, just I don't know if you'd seen that. Those 2 things, but just react to that because it shocked me when I saw it, and obviously Locks should provide a little bit of context on it now, particularly with the Harry Winks situation.
Yeah, I mean the Harry Winks one for me, it's quite simple. Like obviously, when you have a baby, certain things should be put in place, and a little bit of leeway should be given. But nobody, for me anyway, these players are paid a hell of a lot of money, and no club should agree to a player making a 100-mile journey rounds. It should be when you play for this club, you've got to live within 20 miles of the stadium or something like that. Like for me, it's just not practical, is it? But obviously, that's been something that's been put in place. And then Van Nistelrooy came in and tried to turn things around, and seemingly he's done it at the wrong point, the wrong time. So I can understand why Harry Winks wants to stay at home. But then on the other hand, it's like, Harry Winks hasn't got an everyday job, has he? Harry Winks is getting paid a hell of a lot of money. So even if, the owners or the chairman or the manager, whoever it is, says, listen, you've got to relocate, you've got to come and live here. We've had similar things in the past, Pete. I'm trying to think of the players, but we've had it in the past.
Was it Michael Owen? Michael Owen and the helicopter?
Yeah, Michael Owen was one of them. Yeah.
From Cheshire. Yeah. And someone else from around that Chester area, not a player, a manager. You remember who?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. It just shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't happen in this modern era. In terms of Buonanotte, I mean, Locks, tell me if I'm wrong here, but like that's probably the one player you don't want to fall out with, because whenever I've seen Buonanotte, I think he's been brilliant. I mean, I'm talking from an outside fan, point of view, but he's very, very talented lad, and he's probably one player you don't really want to kind of have beef with. But on the other hand, I think Van Nistelrooy's got to take a little bit of the blame there, because yes, he should be wearing the right boots. However, to single him out, I think it's a little bit heavy-handed for me.
I think he played like 13 minutes. Yeah, I think he played 13 minutes that game as well, and he slipped over a couple of times. Just quickly on Facundo, I mean, that's another situation. Like the Steve Cooper Facundo Buonanotte was incredible. I mean, he looked like he was going to single-handedly keep us in the Premier League. And then Ruud van Nistelrooy comes in, plays him out of position, obviously has this fallout, and now he doesn't even start any games. And I think the only reason Brighton couldn't recall him, they wanted to recall him, at the end of January because they conceded falling out of Rude, and apparently the clause, because he'd played so many games, they couldn't recall him. Leicester said, no, we're keeping him. So mate, it's on and off the pitch. It is absolute carnage at Leicester City at the moment. It's nuts.
I suppose it might be an obvious question, Locks, and sorry, Pete, if I'm skipping ahead here, but
go for it, mate.
Do you think if and when relegation is confirmed, do you expect Rude to still be there next season?
We can't believe he's still here. The only explanation is that there's a clause that it's cheaper to sack him when we're officially relegated. That sounds like a clause you would probably put in a manager's contract that had come in mid-season, right? So that's the only thing I can guess. I mean, there is no point in sacking him now is not going to keep you in the Premier League. It's not going to happen. So there's really no point in sacking him now, I suppose, if it is cheaper to wait until the end of the season. But there is no way that he is the manager of Leicester City next season. There's not a chance in hell. It won't happen. Not a chance.
I don't expect that either, especially with all the issues that is going on. And was there? Forgive me if you've already mentioned this. Was there an issue with Harvey Barnes? And not Harvey. We'll get on to Harvey Barnes in a second. With Jamie Vardy, because obviously he came off at half time. I might have asked you this privately, but was there an issue with him? Because a few people were speculating that there was, or is that just people just speculating over nothing?
Yeah, I think it's speculation, nothing confirmed. I mean, with Vard, he's he's Mr. Leicester City. He's definitely played his part in the past in manager sackings, for sure. I mean, Ranieri and Claude Puel are two that he definitely played a part in. I've been told by Rob Tanner from The Athletic that Vardy played no part in Steve Cooper. I think Vardy was fully on board with Steve Cooper, actually. But there is a strange, unique bond between the owner and Jamie Vardy with everything that they've gone through. And the owner does listen to Vardy quite a lot with certain things. So, but no, it's unusual for Vardy to come off the pitch at half time. That is unusual, especially this season. Weirdly, the older he's got, the more games he plays for some reason. And he came off at halftime, so people were speculating that maybe there was something that happened at halftime, but there's no confirmation, mate. So yeah, nothing concrete.
Okay, no. And look, we'll definitely come back to Leicester and chat a little bit about them in a second. But I want to get your thoughts on Newcastle United before I come to the boys to talk about this weekend's results. But what obviously we still celebrated Carabao Cup winners. We're still kind of on a high after that. We've rolled on to Brentford and got the job done there. What have you made of Newcastle United? Obviously this season in general, since we last played you, but equally on the back of that, what are you worried about coming to you on Monday from Newcastle United's perspective?
Well, first of all, congratulations. Congratulations on the trophy. We were saying this morning, actually, Harvey Barnes, that's 2 cup competitions now for Harvey Barnes in his career, the FA Cup and now the Carabao. Absolutely massive. I think, again, Manny, who's in the live chat here, he was saying, that if there's a fan base out there that deserve it, it's you guys. It was nice to see. I mean, it's always nice to see Liverpool lose anyway, but yeah, it was nice to see you win it. Like I said, mate, I mean, I didn't think you were going to get top 4. I didn't this season. However, looking at it, I mean, it's close, it's tight. Obviously, win against us, and it's looking a lot better. I don't think there's going to be any problems with you doing that. But yeah, mate, I mean, your team is just. Yeah, incredible. I was saying this morning as well, actually, I get very bitter when we play against Newcastle. There's a few teams, Newcastle, Brighton, and Villa in particular, and now Forest. I get bitter because it was Leicester, for nearly 10 years that challenged the Big Six, and we've fallen away, and now it's you guys. So bittersweet, if you like. But yeah, I mean, Isak, is he fit? Is he going to be playing? He is. Great. Okay. Oh, no, you don't know?
Hope so.
Boys, what do you think, Daz, Chris? What do you think? Is he going to be fit in your eyes from what Eddie said in the presser?
For me, yeah, he will. Yeah, he'll start. I think it's a precaution again, and he's managing the right way as well. Like we had it before the cup final as well, where there's again doubts, but no, he'll be back. But I think he'll only play about 60 minutes for us. That hopefully will be enough.
I'm scared. I'm scared of that, of course, because to be honest, lads, I'll be honest, right. This isn't about who wins. It's about how heavy the scoreline is, in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of Leicester fans. If Isak don't play, maybe you keep it. We keep it to 1 or 2-0. Obviously, if he plays, you've got a higher chance of scoring goals, I suppose. But for me, obviously, alongside Haaland as the best striker in the Premier League, I don't know who I give it to. I'm sure you guys give it Isak, but I'm not so sure. But definitely the top two, them two. Your midfield, everything, mate. I mean, I'm really not looking forward to. Manny was speaking today. Michael on our channel. He was saying about, what happens with us. We try and play this, playing out from the back, kind of sideways, backwards football. And if we get pressed, we panic, hit it long. And I'm really not looking forward to seeing Vardy going up against Dan Burn for long balls. I mean, it's just not gonna go very well. So, I don't have much hope, mate. Like I said, I'm happy for you boys on how it's going, and but yeah, I am really, really worried about tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, for me, Isak plays, he's fit. I think Joe Linton plays. I think Trippier plays. I think all those boys that have got question marks on their names will play. The only one I'm not sure about, and I don't know your opinions, Daz, Chris, on this is Anthony Gordon. Because Eddie Howe said he hadn't trained with the team as yet, but that's probably one for the tactics board. Maybe we have a discussion on that one and what we think. But look, Locks is worried, boys. Chris, what are your thoughts going into this game from a Newcastle perspective? You've seen Locks or heard Locks' opinion. He doesn't sound very confident, and the boys in the team at Blue Tinted Glasses don't seem confident at all about this game. Where's your mind on Monday night, mate?
Do you know what, Pete? There's a couple of things really. Like the first one was that graphic. I hadn't realised. I knew obviously Leicester were in bad form.
Sorry, Locks. Apologies.
You only have to look at the league table.
So
looking at that graphic straight away, they're a team that tend to lose. I've got that one win in there, so that obviously gives me a little bit of confidence, understandably, but also. And I said this to you this afternoon, to you and Daz, didn't I? I think the results over the weekend are gonna give us that extra 10% tomorrow night to make sure that we get the job done. There's loads of reason now for us to go into this game tomorrow positively, in the sense that if we go and take the 3 points, we're putting ourselves in an absolutely fantastic position. So if anything, I said earlier that I felt that the game being on a Monday night has played into our hands. It may not have done, obviously, if all the results hadn't gone our way and then the pressure was on us. I don't feel like the pressure's on us tomorrow. I think it's very much an opportunity. I think, the players and the manager will see this, and, the team talk basically does itself when he's saying, if you want top 4, go and win tonight. And unfortunately, we're going to, well, fortunately for us, but unfortunately for Locks and Leicester, we're going into a game tomorrow night against a team who are very, very low on confidence, and they're almost waiting for relegation to be confirmed. So I can only really, without having any spoilers towards the end of the show, I can only really see it going one way, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it seems like that, Daz. Are you the same as Chris? Like seeing it really only one way, Newcastle winning the game. Locks isn't confident at all from a Leicester perspective, and even though we're travelling to the King Power, like he's still confident that that's going to be the end result.
Well, to give a bit of confidence to Locks, right? We've all been on this roller coaster this season where it's been up and down, and anytime we're on an up and we go, if we win this, we can jump to here, and then if we beat Man United, and then we beat Crystal Palace after that, and look how we're home and hosed, let's say. But it has not gone that way. So I don't take anything for granted here, to tell you the truth. Let's say Isak doesn't play. Let's say Gordon's on the bench, and something bizarre happens. I don't think it will happen, but it's just been that kind of a season. It could go multiple different ways, but so I just have that in my mind, that roller coaster, and it's happened all the teams around us as well. So, but we were talking with Wolfie from Forest Fans TV, and he was pointing to this one. This is the game you should be getting your numbers up goals wise, but it's just I just take a win, just motor on into the next one.
Yeah, definitely. Is this true? Sorry to take the chat away from you, Chris, a second.
No, do it, mate. Do it.
Is this true, Locks? Because Friday, who's a member of our community, asked the question, and then Manny from yours has come back and said you last scored in January, 0 home goals since December the 8th. That surely is not right, is it?
Yeah, that's true. Our last home goal was December the 8th in Ruud van Nistelrooy's second game. Yeah, in charge against Brighton.
Wow.
That was the last home goal. The last league goal was January, where we beat Spurs 2-1. Yeah, mate. It's under Steve Cooper. You know, we our XG was really low, but we picked up some points here or there. Somehow, you bring in an old elite striker, right? And your attack gets even worse. It's honestly, it's criminal what he's tried to do. And this isn't even me over exaggerating. What Ruud van Nistelrooy tried to do was tighten us up at the back. But what he's actually done is he's made us worse at the back and worse going forward. Like we're worse in defense and we're worse in attack. And the last 3 weeks or so, he's switched to a back five to try and improve things. And I mean, we're conceding 2 instead of 4. If you take that from it. So, yeah, it's really not good, mate. Chris, you said about maybe we can take a little bit of confidence. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Leicester fans want confidence. We're sick of it. All we keep seeing is these bloody tweets from the PR to the social media team saying, "Oh, any chance we can get back to winning ways this weekend," and all this, and we're like, "Shut up!" You know what I mean? Get lost, get out of there. So, and they've been doing something really weird as well recently. We've got a youngster in our academy who is tipped to be like an elite talent. His name is Jeremy Monga. He's 15 years old, and from January onwards, there was a lot of talk about him. He was tearing it apart in under 21s. So he's already at the under 21s at 15, and we've been teased non-stop that he's gonna feature at some point. And he travelled to Old Trafford for an FA Cup game, didn't get in the matchday squad, and then this week as well, they keep teasing them. The problem is Man City are trying to sign him through a tribunal.
Yeah,
so which we'll probably get a couple million quid from or whatever. But yeah, so we might see him on the bench tomorrow. They've been teasing him even more this week for some reason. So yeah, fans won't be happy if he's not on the bench. But yeah, 15 years old, it's nuts. He's meant to be the next big thing, which is obviously why Man City are coming in for him. So
wow, another one to keep an eye on for sure. If he's on the bench and maybe gets on and plays. But yeah, of course, you're going to get all those top clubs that are going to be sniffing around players like that, because that's what they do. Whether it's Chelsea, Man City, they always try and take those players quite young. Liverpool used to do it quite a lot as well. Yes, it's going to be an interesting one. And what's this one from Christopher D? Someone family from Leicester. I had high hopes for Ruud van Nistelrooy for his job at Man United, but it's not all down to him. Having Vardy as your number one striker isn't great. Right? Should you be past at this point? Because I have to say, Locks, when we did our match preview and then we played it at St James's Park, obviously we watched the game. You touched on it with regards to Dan Burn. We managed him really well, and that's like it was really comfortable to the point of when he got taken off after about 60-65 minutes. Like, I'm looking at Vardy and he just doesn't. I mean, he's 38. You kind of expect it, but he doesn't look anywhere near the same type of potent striker that you probably need. So I'm giving you an example, like Liam Delap, for for example, at Ipswich, is getting them the goals. He might not keep them up, but getting double-figure goals this season is giving them at least a little glimmer of hope of a chance of staying in the league. If you'd have had someone like that up front, do you think it could have been a better season for you?
I think if Liam Delap, for example, was in our team, I still don't think we would have stayed up. With Vardy, I mean, yeah, he actually started the season really well. I think he got like 6 goals in the first couple of months of the season or something like that. Or before Christmas, he was on 7 goals, I think, something like that. But since Christmas, mate, he's getting less chances, as I said, because we're not as we're pretty toothless now in attack. So he is getting less chances, but the chances he is getting, he's not putting away. And the Jamie Vardy of old, I mean, we were going through his data actually the other night on a stream, and he had like 3 seasons on a row where he had like a 25% plus conversion rate, which is incredible for a striker. 25% of shots he was scoring. It was nuts. And I think the average is like 11 or something like that in the Premier League. So it's the clinicalness in there isn't there as much anymore. He is still, I mean, I saw someone mention his pace in the chat. He's still kind of quick, but he's obviously not the Vardy, of 10 years ago, of course. He's developed a lot though as a player over the last 10 years. As his pace diminished, he obviously got more, I suppose, IQ, and he found himself in the right places more often. But yeah, this season, mate, especially since Christmas, he has really struggled. Of course, it's the players around him that contribute to that. I mean, most of the games under Ruud van Nistelrooy, he's had Bobby De Cordova-Reid on his right and Jordan Ayew on his left. You know what I mean? What would you expect him to do there? But yeah, he's obviously not the player he was. And I do think it should be, and probably will be, his last season for Leicester.
That was one of the questions, I think, from Andy. It said it was, is it going to be his last season? So you think he's going to, you think he's just going to hang his boots up, or do you think he'll move on elsewhere? I
think he'll move on. Yeah, I think he'll move on. I think a piece came out the other day, actually. I can't remember which newspaper it was, but apparently he still wants to play. He's not ready to retire. Look, I said at the time, this isn't me just hindsight. I did say at the time I actually thought he should have called it a day last summer with the high of getting promoted. Obviously getting relegated, and then he brings us back up, or part of that team that brings us back up at first attempt. I think he should have called it a day there, but then he signed another year. Obviously, then that's running out this summer, so there is still kind of doubt on whether he will or not. I personally think it is time. I'm sure next season in the Championship, he could probably score at least 10 goals in the Championship. I mean, he scored like 18, I think, last season, league goals. Yeah. I think he could score 10 next season, but I just think it is time to move on. I really do. And there are Leicester fans out there who are a bit more sentimental than me, and would love him to stay another year. But I think it is time, mate. He's going to be 39 halfway through next season. And the problem with Jamie Vardy, unfortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, is he's always better than the other strikers at the club. So like we've got Patson Daka at the club. I mean, he's much better than Patson Daka. Oh, he's donkey. He's a donkey. But
you pay big money for him, though. You pay big money.
Yeah. Mate, all the big clubs were after him. Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool were after him. And I mean, yeah, he's had one good game for us in, I don't know how many years it is now, like 3.5 years or something. So the problem is with Vardy that he always outperforms the other strikers at the club. And with that, strikers haven't been able to have long periods in the team. They've always been dropped for Vardy, and Vardy's come in and scored goal. So I think it's time to reset, say goodbye. He'll get a statue built. I'm sure the statue will be built outside the King Power, and move on, I think, mate.
Cool. Lux, a question for you that's off track. It's not on Vardy. So it's look, you guys have avoided a points deduction with the loophole at towards the start of the season in the Premier League. But does this come back to bite you again some way if you are in the Championship next season?
We don't know. we're led to believe the Championship are waiting for us. Yeah, rubbing their hands together, waiting for us because we made them look a little bit silly last year. They're the ones that came to us. I can't remember when it was. I think it was just before Christmas and said, we need your accounts early and we need to impose a business plan on you. And then they argue to the EFL basically that, we weren't a Championship club. We were a Premier League club the last set of accounts. So you can't do that to us. So we pushed it down the line. And then like in March or something, they imposed a transfer embargo on us. March, what's that going to, there's no impact. The problem now, though, is that the embargo is still in place. So as we speak, we still have an EFL transfer embargo. So we don't know what's going to happen with that come the summer. There's also a possibility that we get points deducted. The PSR situation is still a little bit messy. It gets even messier when you drop down the division because then you're taking 2 years from one league and 1 year from the other. Yeah. And so I think our accounts that were published finally last week said we made a 19.2 million loss, which is quite low for Leicester considering the 2 years before. So yeah, we honestly don't know, mate. We're expecting some form of investigation, if you like, from the EFL because it's a bit weird. Obviously, we avoided the Premier League points deductions by saying we were in the Championship, and so then surely if we go to the Championship, we get punished. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So it's really confusing. We found a loophole. And we exploited it. So yeah, it's God knows what's going to happen, mate. Because if we get a transfer embargo, oh my Lord, we are in trouble. We are in big trouble. Yeah, in the summer.
Nick DeMarco will sort it out for you. Don't worry, Alex.
Well, then Vardy won't be. I'll be saying, Vardy, please stay if we got a transfer embargo. Yeah,
well, this is it.
For sure.
This is it. Yeah. I know Chris got a question. I was just thinking with Jamie Vardy. I think he was a born sort of Sheffield United, not a Sheffield Wednesday fan actually. It was. So it could well be that could be a move for him going back to a club that he supported as a kid. I was just thinking out loud, but you're absolutely right. If you have got that embargo, he's probably one of the first ones you're going to want to secure to keep for the Championship next season. Definitely. I don't
know if Sheffield Wednesday will be able to pay him enough to cover his wife's legal battles, mate. To be honest, I think he might be looking at the MLS instead. Yeah. But someone said Saudi the other day. Can you imagine Jamie Vardy in Saudi Arabia? Not a chance. I think it will be MLS or something like that, mate. To be honest.
Okay. Sorry, Chris. I know you had a question, mate.
Yeah, no, it was only a quick one. It's slightly off topic, Locks, but you mentioned his name, and do you know what? I don't know what it is. I've watched him at Fulham. I've watched him for yourselves, and you mentioned the word donkey, and I just wanted to know your thoughts on this particular player. Mate, I don't know how Bobby Decordova-Reid is still a Premier League player. I just don't understand it. I'm desperately trying. I watch him and I think, is there going to be something where, I've seen him score the odd goal, but I don't know what it is, but I just think he's so poor. Like when I saw that you had signed him and then he was playing on the wing for you, I was just thinking, there's got to be someone better than Bobby Decordova-Reid. Or am I completely wrong? Like, what are your thoughts on him in general?
It's actually really funny because Luke, who we have on our channel, he's Australian, and he actually calls him Bobby Donkey Over Reed or something along those lines. It's like a typical like sign-in for a team, a newly promoted team that wants Premier League experience, and Steve Cooper sanctioned that one as well as Jordan Ayew, right? Jordan Ayew as well. Yeah, I mean, he actually scored our last home goal in the Premier League, which is crazy. You know what, mate? I think the things he has going for him is work rate. He's versatile. He's versatile. I mean, he can play. Well, I say can play, but he can just about play across the whole of the front three. I think he even played wing back for Fulham, and obviously those versatile players are they're handy to have. He was a free as well. It was a free transfer. And I don't think the wages were too crazy. So they all tick, I suppose, the boxes of a newly promoted team. But the problem is that he's just not very good. And the bigger problem is that Ruud van Nistelrooy insisted on playing him for like three months straight alongside Ayew. So yeah, it's tough. I can understand. I think Fulham actually wanted to keep him around when his contract expired, but I think we offered him more playing time or whatever, and maybe more money as well. Yeah, for sure. And that's why he came to us. But yeah, I agree completely, mate. He's a donkey. I don't hate him. There's players I prefer him to some other players, but quality just isn't there. Quality just isn't there.
I was a bit worried then, Locks, because it sounded like you were trying to persuade us to buy him. I was getting a little bit worried.
Well, Hamza, that Hamza signing never did happen, did it? It never came to fruition. No.
It didn't. We've been talking about it before in the chat.
Oh, yeah, that was a weird one. That just went on for so long, man. This is what I'm saying. You know what about like bittersweet? It's like we were trying to sell our dead wood to you guys about 3 years ago, and now look at us. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's never been the same since you paid 30 million for Jose Perez. You
I like him. I like Jose, man. I think he was really, really, honestly, he was really harshly treated by Leicester fans, and I think it was because of the price tag. The price tag was I mean, it's like when you look at Harry Maguire, for example, like United fans, you know, the crap that Maguire gets. It's because he was £80 million. That's if he was a £15 million signing, he don't get all that hate. Jose Perez for me was, I mean, he played a massive part in those 2 seasons that we were challenging for top 4. I mean, the first one, especially 2019-20, when COVID interrupted it, he was starting nearly every game in that season, and I really liked him. I'd love him now. But yeah, I think he was victim of a big price tag, unfortunately. And yeah, you did pull our pants down, but that's Brendan Rodgers for you, mate. He's a bozo, Rodgers, mate. He's nuts.
He is. He loves spending a bit of money. Does old Brendan?
And then he gives up when he can't. Yeah, when he can't, he throws a hissy fit. Yeah.
Exactly that. I know there's some other questions. We'll come back to them afterwards. Are you good for time, Locks? You okay?
Yeah, man. I've got a little bit longer. Yeah,
Just wanted to do the lineups and then come to a few more questions before we wrap up. But if you need to go, no problem, because we're going to cover today's results after we've obviously.
I've got about 15 minutes, mate. 15 minutes I've got.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Let's bring up then the tactics board. And we always start with the opposition fans. So if you want to share with us your lineup, what you think it will be. Hopefully, I've got all your players on there.
So this is what I think or what I want. Which one?
Okay, go with what you think, and then you can cover about what you would want to change, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's going to be like it's a weird formation that we've been playing. So it's a back 5 to begin with. Obviously three centre backs, 2 wing backs. And the first, obviously the goalkeeper Mads Hermansen, he'll be gone in the summer. One of the. I mean, he's been incredible. Really, he's dropped off a little bit actually over the last couple of months, but first half of the season, he's the reason why Steve Cooper's time at the club didn't look that bad to outsiders, because Hermansen kept us in so many games. I think it will be right. So I'll go to the 3 centre backs first. On the right hand side, it'll be Wout Faes. Unfortunately, he is a clown. He is the biggest clown I've ever seen in a Leicester shirt. Central, it'll be Connor Cody. And left centre. Say that again, mate. Sorry.
What's it been like coming back into the team, Connor Cody?
I mean, he's steady. He doesn't make any mistakes. He's not great. I mean, he's not the fastest. He doesn't he's quite slow with his turning and all of that stuff. Not very mobile, but he makes less mistakes than the others, to be honest. So I think that's why Ruud's got him in there. He actually started the first few games under Ruud, and then we conceded quite a lot of goals. I mean, we conceded 4 against you, didn't we? Was that 4-0? And I think they pulled him out. So the left side of centre back is probably going to be Luke Thomas, which sounds crazy because he's a left back and he's got the frame of a 12-year-old girl, but he's Yeah, this is one of these weird things that Ruud's tried recently, playing him as a left centre back. I don't know if it's to add a little bit more mobility into the back line. The wing backs, right side, it'll be James Justin. Had a really tough start to the season. For a large part of the season, he was our only fit right back. While Ricardo Pereira was injured. But actually recently, in the last probably 2 months or so, he's really improved, and he's probably one of the better performers so far. I mean, still bad, obviously, but compared to the others, he's not been too bad. So the left side, I think Victor Christiansen. I don't know if you know much about this lad. I mean, we signed him in January of the last relegation season. Yeah. He did okay, actually. He's a fighter, in my opinion, for sure. A lot of passion and energy and all of that stuff. And then when we got relegated, he went on loan to Bologna, and he had a really good season for them. He qualified for Champions League with them guys, and then stuck with us this year. I think he'll be leaving in the summer. He's not been great, to be honest with you. People talk. We've got a guy on our channel who's Danish, and he talks about, he's not the best. He's not the best defensively, but he's quite good in attack. He's not. He's absolute pony. I think Serie A was his level. Of course, Serie A is still a good level, but the Premier League's a different beast with some of the wingers that you come up against, and he's really struggled. Okay, 2 centre midfielders. I'm gonna say it'll be definitely Ndidi, Wilfred Ndidi on the right hand side. Yeah. Probably I was going to say our most valuable player behind Hermansen. Probably our most valuable player. He's still up there, this season for tackles, interceptions, all of that kind of stuff. Like in the league, he's still up there with those stats. So he's been decent this season. Alongside him, now this is where it gets a bit tricky. I think it'll be Samari if you put Samari in there. That is the pairing that Ruud van Nistelrooy prefers in his time at the club so far. Now, Samari's been pretty poor recently, and we thought we might see Winks a bit more, but now that won't be the case after their fallout. There's also talk about Oliver Skipp. Could it be Oliver Skipp that comes in? I don't think so. He played, by the way, in that game when we last faced each other, because Ndidi was injured and Samare was suspended. Yeah. And our midfield 2 was Hamza Chowdhury and Oliver Skipp. And they put in a combined total of tackles of 2 in that 90 minutes. And you absolutely just ran through us all game. So, but I think this is probably on paper, this is probably our best 2 central midfielders. And I think Ruud will skip with that. Okay. And then, where we go next, it looks a bit weird here. So we also now play with like 2 number 10s ahead of them, and it's El Kanous, Bilal El Kanous.
I've got 2 Buonanottes and 2 Goldings in, so I need to get rid of one of them. I just need to make a quick change, but
that's all good.
Right,
Kanous, number 11, El Kanous. So he's in there as one of the number 10s. These 2 players, how they've been operating. I mean, I think the idea is for them to kind of be inside forwards, if you like. But what's actually happening is they're basically playing as 2 number 10s, and they don't really have a clue on what they're actually doing in the game. But that's where they've been quite central. And next to him has been, believe it or not, get ready for this, Patson Daka. Now, this is how you know that Ruud van Nistelrooy hasn't got a bloody clue. Patson Daka has been playing as a number 10 alongside El Kanous. And then obviously ahead of them is Jamie Vardy. So now this is, I think, the most likely. The only thing that I doubt maybe then is the Daka one, because he's played the last 2 in that role and he's been absolutely atrocious. Potentially, I could see Steffi Mavididi coming in. I would probably make that change. This is what I think will happen, but what I would like to see is Mavididi in there instead of Daka. I think there is a chance we do see that change, to be honest with you, and then maybe just switch them around on opposites, like Mavididi and El Kanous. And then other than that, mate, The last change I would like to see is probably Luke Thomas out and Oliver and Caleb Okoli.
Yeah, why is he not playing?
We don't really know, mate. It appears that he's also had a fallout at some point with Ruvo Nistelrooy. I mean, we signed him in. We signed him in the summer, and we signed him in the summer for like 16 million or something like that. And he was apparently like going to leave in January. 6 months later, he's our quickest centre back for sure. He's probably the centre back that the most exciting one for the future, if you like. He's still relatively young. He's had his first call up for Italy this season as well. He's made his kind of good number of mistakes as well himself. They all have, to be honest. But I would probably say sticking with Ruud's weird system, if you want to call it a system, that he's been playing recently, I would probably go with this. Yannick Vestergaard can't get a look in now. He obviously, again, he's had a fallout with Ruud, and yeah, so I don't think and he turns like a truck. He's as slow as one. So I think this would be my preferred lineup, mate. Yeah, and like I said, the only one that I would doubt maybe is Mavididi and Okoli, because I think Ruud just doesn't really take to them either. So yeah.
Okay.
You can see why we're 19th now, right?
Yeah. I can. Can't lie about that. El Khanous, what do you make of him? Do you think he'll be getting a Premier League move? I really like what I've seen of him. Just a quick word on him.
2 months ago, I would have said there is no chance in hell he is a Leicester City player next season. He will be sold on to one of the bigger clubs in England or Europe. He will still play for a big club. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit too optimistic, but of recent, he's been quite absent. He's not really done too much, and he's not impressed. He's had a couple of bad games as well. Whereas, like in January, February, he was standing out. Like he was a clear standout as our best player, one of our best players. But yeah, recently it's not been the case. So I don't know if he keeps putting in these poor performances until the end of the season. I suppose there's a chance we keep him. And my word, that player in the Championship is getting 25 goals and assists, combined goals and assists easily, in my opinion. He's incredible, to be honest with you. So he'll play for a massive club in the future. But yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't know whether he'll stick with us this summer. It could well happen. It's only been a year. Maybe we can kind of convince him by saying, like, look what happened to Dewsbury Hall, for example. We dropped down a division. He absolutely lit it on fire. And now he moved to Chelsea, and that could be maybe a bit of motivation to keep him around.
Boys, that want to come to our lineup really quickly. How are we going to look on Monday evening? Any particular changes? Any players coming in, coming out? Tell us what your lineups are, boys.
Hopefully sensational, Pete. But Chris, I'm going to let you kick it off, and I'll just get in the buzzer. You ready?
Okay, mate. Okay. Yeah, for me, I'll be honest, I think it's going to be unchanged. So I'll quickly read them out anyway, Pete. So I think it's going to be Nick Pope in goal.
Okay.
Tino Livramento at left back. Dan Burn left-sided centre-back. Fabian Schär right-sided centre-back. And then it will be Kieran Trippier at right back.
Okay.
Holden 6 will be Bruno. Tonali. God, that was back in the day, that wasn't it?
That's his routine and instinct. Bruno.
So Bruno on the right side of the midfield three. Joe Linton on the left side of the midfield three. And then I think on the left wing will be Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, want to get a word on Harvey Barnes for Locks before he goes.
Absolutely. On the right side will be Jacob Murphy.
Cool. Yeah.
And I have been toying with this, and I don't know whether Daz is going to overrule me. Based on what he said before, probably not. But I think Alexander Isak will start. However, I do think we'll see Callum Wilson reasonably early on in that second half, maybe 55, 60 minutes, particularly if the game's kind of done. Could even be, if we get to half time, if we're, say, 2-0 up, and I'm not being too hopeful there, but, if it was 2-0 at half time, bring him off for me. If the job's done, get him off. But yeah, I think he'll start with Isak. I mean, if the one argument you could say is if there's any game where, and no offense, Locks, but if there's any game where you potentially rest Alexander Isak if he's struggling a little bit, it would be probably Leicester. But I think he'll start.
Ooh, okay.
Just to the death, Chris. Just the team you have on the pitch, I'm going with as well. I know I was the last show I was saying I put Gordon on for Barnes, but no, I do think I've been thinking about the last few days. I think it is unfair to drop Barnes, and then it sends the wrong message to Gordon as well. Like he's got a bit of prove, Gordon, as well, coming back after missing the 3-match ban and missing the cup final. So no, leave Harvey Barnes where it is. But why I'm buzzing, Chris, is it's very minor. It's on your sub choice there. I would consider. I'm definitely taking Isak off after 60 minutes. But if Barnes is still flying it, I'd consider bringing Gordon on. I know what you're saying. Wilson, he needs a goal, just a bit of confidence. But that's the other option. I'd have Gordon come on for either Barnes or Isak, depending how towards the end of the game after 60 minutes.
No, I mean I can't really argue with that. The only thing I'd say is I probably wouldn't play Gordon through the middle, only because with him not being 100%, because I imagine he's not 100%. I wouldn't want him necessarily running the channels kind of thing. But no, I agree with what you're saying. And who knows, Daz, you could even throw Will Asula into that argument. I know a few people have been saying that I've seen on social media, Asula's the future. Let's see more of Will Asula. And I do get that. I do completely get it. I just think, knowing Eddie, I think he'd go Wilson, personally.
I'd like if we're seeing a Will Asula, I'd like to see him coming on for Murphy later on. I think on the right, he's interested in there. Yeah, on the right hand side.
What do you think?
This would be the team that I would go for. Absolutely. I've only got one slight question mark, and it's not one that you've mentioned already. It's about this man here, Joe Linton. And look, I want Joe Linton to start, but Joe Linton has 9 bookings, and he has a 2-match ban in the waiting. And our next 3 are Man United at home, Palace at home, and Villa away. For me, they're 3 games that we cannot afford to miss Joe Linton in for any. So do we give Willett the opportunity to start in this game? Maybe rest Joe Linton. He rests his knee for another week, play him against Man United at St. James's Park, and then see how we get on after that. And manage his minutes, because we don't want him to get a booking. He's had the 9 bookings for a while, and he's managed to come through it. But I don't know what your thoughts are on that. It's just I want Joe Linton to start, but I also don't want him to miss 2 potential massive games in that next 3 that come after Leicester. Hopefully, if we beat Leicester tomorrow night.
That's a good point you're raising, Pete. So yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed to see that, and again rest the knee, and then we get to see him then live as well in that Man United game that we're at. The other option then is Miley getting some minutes as well in this game. So yeah, there's opportunities for players to get some minutes that haven't had a chance in the last little while. But it depends on how the game's going, really.
Definitely. Locks, from your perspective, where do you think Leicester's biggest weaknesses on the pitch? I know you could probably say like in most places, but where do you think Newcastle United could cause you potentially the most problems on Monday night? Where from a fan that watches the game religiously, watching Leicester, where do you kind of make most of your mistakes?
It will happen in the midfield. It will happen in the midfield, especially with your 3 there. I mean, oh my lord, it's I'm scared just looking at the screen now. Ndidi is an incredible ball winner, but on the ball, he lacks quality. He panics, and Samare is a little bit different. He's actually too relaxed on the ball. He plays like he's Yaya Toure, but he's got the ability of Samare, right? So he he makes a lot of mistakes. So I think if we try and play out, or maybe we try and break, and one of them to make a mistake, it will be game over. You'll be able to carve us open. Obviously, the wingers, there's always space when you play a back three. Obviously, if the wing backs are getting high, there's always kind of those space out wide. There's always that space out wide, and Harvey Barnes, Murphy as well, obviously great player. But yeah, Harvey Barnes, I'm sure would love, even though he loves Leicester, I'm sure he'd love to get a goal. So yeah, to be honest with you, Matt, I won't pinpoint one particular area. I'd say the midfield if I had to, but it's going to be a tough night all round for Leicester City, mate. It's going to be really tough.
Just on Harvey Barnes, because I know you need to shoot in a second, but just a word on Harvey Barnes. Obviously, coming back to Leicester for the first time, I believe, since he signed for the club. Do you think he's going to get a good reception, or how do you think he's going to sort of approach the game? And just in general, what have you made at Harvey Barnes, particularly recently since he's got his run in the team?
I think Harvey Barnes will get a good reception, to be honest, a bit like Dewsbury Hall did. Now, with the Harvey Barnes one, he left at the same time as Maddison and Tielemans. Obviously, Tielemans, he ran his contract down and went on a free. He's never going to get a good reception because of that. Despite what he did for us, scoring the FA Cup winning goal, he's never going to get a good reception because he left us in the crap a little bit there. James Maddison's he's a divisive character, so he always, he's always 50-50. But Harvey Barnes he's a grounded lad. He's obviously local to the area, kind of a Countersthorpe. You'll know that, Pete. He didn't leave on bad terms. I think, he was one of the last to leave, if I'm not mistaken. He was actually hanging about in pre-season, but he just didn't play. He was our top goal scorer as well, by the way. The year we got relegated, he was the top goal scorer for us in the Premier League. I think he scored like 8 goals or something. So, yeah, I think he will get a good reception. He's not a, like I said, a divisive character like some of the others that have left us. He's respectful. I think if he scored, he's not going to do any celebration and all of that stuff. So yeah, I think he'll get a good one, mate. Yeah, and fair play to the guy. Like I said, we're Leicester fans will be happy with him, and we were big fans of Harvey Barnes. He had an interesting journey at the club. Like his debut for the club was against Porto in the Champions League. We lost 5-0 in 2016, and then he didn't play until, I want to say it was early 2018, maybe, when Clubwell recalled him from loan at West Brom. So, yeah, he had a good journey at the club, won the FA Cup. Obviously, sadly got relegated, but I don't think there's any bad blood there between us and Harvey Barnes.
Fair play. It'd be interesting to see that. I would love him to score. He hasn't scored for a while. It'd be great for him to get a goal against Leicester as well. Just to, it wouldn't be great for you, but it'd be great for us just to give him that boost of confidence. But I'm a big fan of Harvey Barnes. Like what he does. He hasn't always fitted into our system, but he seems like he's starting to now. Would that be a right assessment, Daz, Chris, on Harvey Barnes?
Sorry, what was the question, Pete? Is it
just on Harvey Barnes? Like I just said, like I personally like him. I think obviously since he's had his run, he's looked more like he's been able to fit into the system, whereas before it wasn't always the case.
Yeah, he's getting his chance now. Still has a bit to go though for me. And we'll cover it in squad game, but it depends in the summer what we want to do ourselves. Could be it could be someone we do trade, but he's doing the business at the moment. Hasn't had the easiest seasons. I know he was getting goals for us by coming off the bench, but let's see.
You the same, Chris?
Yeah, do you know what, mate? Like we've had this discussion many a time, haven't we? And I think there's probably more discussion to be had too. But like, there's no doubting. And you know what's funny? Whenever we talk about Harvey Barnes, I always think of you, Peter, to James's Park when he scored the winner against West Ham, and you were like, "That's what you pay 38 million for. That's what it is." And you know what? His quality is undoubted. Like I know he's a really, really good player. My only concern really is that I just don't see him as an Eddie Howe type player. Anthony Gordon for me is how Eddie Howe wants his wingers to be, and Harvey Barnes is not that. I think Jacob Murphy's more similar to Jacob Murphy's more similar to Gordon than he is Barnes. Barnes to me feels like, I don't know. I could almost see him in a more traditional type team. It's in the way they play. I don't see him in a free fluid Newcastle team under Eddie Howe. I just don't see it. And I think if a decent offer came in, I still think he would consider trading and bringing someone else in. But as I say, I'm not getting at Harvey Barnes, and I think he is a really good player. I just don't see him in this Newcastle team long term, personally.
Have a word and see if he wants to drop down to the Championship next season.
Definitely. But look, Locks, I know you've got to shoot, but it's been a pleasure to have you with us, mate. Really, really, really doing. And hopefully we get you in the cup and we can get you back on next season if you do eventually get relegated. But before you go, give us a score prediction, mate. What do you think it will be on Monday night?
This morning I said 4-0. Now I'll say 5. Yeah, you've. As I get closer to the game, I'm dreading it even more. Yeah, 5-0, mate. I think it'll be a walk in the park for you, to be honest. I think one of you said earlier about the pressure will be off, and I think that's the kind of game it will be. I think pressure will be off both sides because Leicester have already given up. I think you'll comfortably win it, mate. It could get messy. Yeah.
Let's wait and see. But Locks, top man for joining us, mate. Make sure everyone in the chat goes and subscribes to Blue Tinted Glasses as well. And check out Locks's pre-match, post-match as well. His preview's already out. Go check out all that stuff and make sure you support Locks and the team.
Nice one, mate. Thank you so much, lads. Nice to see you all again. See you in a bit.
Take care, Locks.
Take care, mate. Good luck with the rebuild.
Yeah, it will be a rebuild, and Locks has been very, very clear on that changes are going to need to be made. But there may not be with the EFL, as you asked the question, Daz. Could well be waiting in the wings as they arrive in the Championship run. But it's going to be an interesting one, boys. The lineup's interesting that you've got on the screen, and we've kept it on the screen sort of for a reason. You're looking at that Leicester team, boys, where we didn't get a chance to cover it. Does that make you more confident? Do you see any concerns of where they could create problems for Newcastle United tomorrow night?
Yes, it makes me more confident. No, I don't see anything that can trouble us at all.
You're the same, Chris?
I think the only place, if this is the 11, because I know Locke said he was a little bit unsure as to a couple of players. The only place where I could see Leicester getting any type of joy, being honest, is in the number 10 positions. I think El Canouf's a really good player, and I think Mavididi is a really good player. But if he plays Patson Dachen in the number 10, I think we can put that concern completely to bed, and then it is literally just El Canouf. I think Jamie Vardy back in the day was a fantastic striker, and I still believe, he can still finish. But the difficulty Jamie Vardy's going to have is if he doesn't have the support, he's just going to get swallowed up by Fabian Schär and Dan Burn. Like, I just don't see him getting any kind of joy. My biggest concern, if I was a Leicester fan, so from Lox's perspective, I think their left-hand side and our right-hand side, we're going to cause them big problems. That Christiansen, I think he's had a really, really tough season. Caleb Okoli, yeah, he was dreadful, mate. He was dreadful. Yeah, he really was. And I don't know whether it'll be Caleb Okoli, because that was the other doubt. And if Ruud van Nistelrooy decides to play Luke Thomas at left centre-back, and he's not a left centre-back, I think Jacob Murphy's going to be tearing them everywhere. I think Kieran Trippier is going to be getting up there. Bruno Guimaraes is going to be making those runs in the box. I just think the overload could be there. I genuinely think that's a problem.
How are Italy calling up a young lad from Leicester.
It's crazy.
This is Italy, renowned for centre backs. Like,
well, don't forget.
Weird. Go on, Chris.
Oh, sorry, Pete. But you got? No, I think you're going to say the same as me, mate.
No, go on, say it, mate.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Bella Kotchap, who got the call up for Germany. I just wonder, or you could argue as well, Willie Gnonto got the call up for Italy as well, didn't he, from Leeds? That felt a bit premature. Destiny Udogie. I mean, Udogie's probably on a different level too. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Destiny Udogie, and that's the reason why Tottenham ended up signing him, because he was getting picked. He was getting obviously called up for Italy at such a young age because he made that breakthrough. So that's why they're looking at young players and they're looking at making a breakthrough and they're thinking, we need to get them in now. It's almost like they're trying to hoard talent to keep them in the national fold.
That lad was coming. I just looked at him when we were talking about him, but he's come through all the ranks of the Italian youth teams. But to make in the first team is a big step. No, he didn't get to play it, but he was in the squad.
He should. There's no doubt about it. He should be starting for Leicester, and Locke's touched on it. Something's happened there because I've seen him play, and he looks big, strong. He looks physically good, and physically the right type of player that you would want in the Premier League. And he actually has played decent when he's played, and so that's why he didn't play. I don't believe against us at St James's Park, and I was wondering why at that time. And he hasn't really been playing much recently. Something's happened. I have no idea what it is.
I'll actually answer my own question. Don't Juventus have our reserve centre back unknown? So I've kind of answered my own question there. Move on.
You have, and I think you also put in the chat that we are. Do you say locked and loaded on the Kenny Watt?
Yes.
Operation loaded. 30 minutes gone. In that game, we are on very much on Kelly Watch. He is playing as part of a back three, apparently. Let's make sure. A big game as well away at Roma. Because Roma, I think, could be on the same point or go above them with a win. Massive game. That the one thing I wanted to just point out really quickly before we go on to the weekend's results, boys, is if they do play like that, that is an incredibly narrow team and position there, which means there could be a lot of joy on these wings here if we end up pushing them back. Of course, they're going to want their wing backs to try and get forward, but to be fair, I expect us to have the majority of the possession. I expect us to be camped for long parts in their half. They are going to look and try and anticipate a counter attack, which is exactly what they did at St James's Park. But I just think this man here creating moments in and around. I mean, I'm looking at these three players, and neither of them are blessed with pace. And I'm just looking at Murphy. I'm looking at Isaac. I'm looking at Barnes. Barnes against Wout Face. I'm expecting a couple of cuttings in here and a couple of shots on goal. Now, he is absolutely atrocious. He's atrocious. I don't now worry about Livramento manning any of this area here. Kieran Trippier is Kieran Trippier. I'm just confident across the board. And it's, for me, the lads, I have to say, the only way I think Leicester get anything is through something of pure luck. That's the only way I can see Leicester getting anything out of this game. It's something of pure luck, a gift, a massive deflection, something. I can only see,
or something.
Yeah, something like that. I can only see something going their way, of pure luck, that gives them a chance of winning this game. I think if Newcastle United go there and do what they've been doing the last few games, they've been playing to try and win the game in the first half. And if Newcastle come out the traps, if they want to rest the likes of Isaac, if they want to rest the likes of Joe Linton, they need to go out in that first half and go and win the game in the first half. Get one, get two, get 3 goals. And then second half can be about maintaining, managing, and shutting up shop. That's the ideal scenario for this game on Monday, and maximising the players' rest in that. But anything else to add before we take the tactics board off, boys?
None of the tactics board. I just want to ask Chris, did you get to see the Tonali goal yet, Chris?
Yes, I did, mate. I did. When I got home, I watched it, and it was some strike, wasn't it? And I think Pete put out a tweet, didn't he, saying, "I don't really care whether he meant it or not. It was a brilliant strike," and it was. I thought it was interesting as well, wasn't it? The way he said that it was 70% cross, 30% shot, because if it was a cross, it was ridiculously hard. He'd hit it far too hard to be a cross. So it was funny that I don't know whether that he meant that for that split second in his mind, that's what he was thinking, because ultimately when he's hit it, well, it couldn't have been a cross for me because he's hit it far too hard because no one would get on the end of it. But brilliant finish and great goal. Yeah,
absolutely. I wanted to come off this one and I wanted to bring up this because I wanted for us to have a word on what's happened this weekend, boys, because these are the results of this weekend. And I have to say, I'm very happy with this weekend's results. But boys, in particular, we had the late kickoff at Villa Park, 2-1 against Forest. Bournemouth drew 2-2 with West Ham. Yeah, you've got Brighton losing to Palace. Man United taking a point off Man City. You got Chelsea, Brentford, 0-0. Boys, what do you make of that?
Just it was a standing set of results for us. I'm delighted that Chelsea dropped points today and Man City dropping points. Interesting now, we were watching a bit of that game yesterday as well. The Villa Forest game. Forest coming undone there. And Bournemouth are falling off. They were lucky to get back in. Wasn't it 2-1 West Ham at one stage? I was watching the end of that game, but no, and even Arsenal and Everton 1-1. So a really interesting set of results.
Absolutely, Chris. What do you make of this weekend's results? Does that change the complexion of the Premier League? I'll take this off just for a second and bring it back on later on, because now this is how the table looks.
I've just been studying the league table, so thank you for putting that up, Pete. But I literally, boys, I can't get my head around it. It's almost like this whole season, and pardon my language, this whole season has just been like one big headful, because I can't believe that we've got 2 games in hand on Forest, and we'd be a point behind them if we win them. Yeah. I can't get my head around that, because at one point I remember looking at the league table and going, "Oh, they're 7 points ahead. We've got no chance." Like it's like the whole season has just been so odd. Like you know, thank you for pulling that up, Pete. But we win those 2 games in hand. So I think obviously, well, I say 2 games in hand. Our next 2 games, we've got 2 games on everybody else. So obviously we play Leicester tomorrow night. Hopefully we get the win. Our game in hand is actually against Palace, isn't it? But again, it's at home, and you know we've got to win next weekend, boys, and we all know why. We've got to win next weekend, because we're obviously going to be in attendance. But I look at it and I just think, you know, Leicester tomorrow night, Man United then at home, Palace at home. I just think we can absolutely do this. Absolutely do this. I think the only disappointing thing for me this weekend, being honest, and it wasn't just me that felt this way, it was some Blues as well. I was disappointed that Arsenal didn't win against Everton, because it would have made today's results a little bit twitchy on the red side of Merseyside, because obviously Liverpool getting beat against Fulham, but because Arsenal didn't win, it still leaves that huge gap, doesn't it? But in terms of our results, Chelsea only drawing, Forest losing, Chelsea. Sorry, I've just said Chelsea. Man City drawing. Yes, Villa won. But then obviously that was Villa winning was then at the expense of Forest. And the Brighton score piece, the Brighton, remind me, what was the Brighton's?
Yeah, they lost 2-1 to Palace.
Yes, that was it. So really, you're looking at the league table, and Fulham may have put themselves back in that conversation. But other than that, like, the results are pretty much perfect, and it just means tomorrow night we go in with a little bit of confidence. We go into the game tomorrow night in terms of, let's just go and do this. And I'm hoping that it takes the pressure off, because let's be honest, boys, we expect to win tomorrow, and we should be winning tomorrow. But if we don't win tomorrow, for whatever reason, it's not going to be absolutely catastrophic. How horrible would it be going into tomorrow night? And, I'm just saying for argument's sake here, I know people were playing each other, so not possible. But let's say Chelsea won. Let's say Man City won. Let's say Villa won, and we're then looking at it and going, oh, fucking hell, we need to win tonight. We've got to win tonight. We're not thinking that tomorrow. We still want to win, and I still believe we will win.
Still have to win.
We still have to win.
Regardless,
you're right,
still
you're
have
right.
to win.
But I just think the pressure's gone. There's no pressure there. Whereas if the other teams had won, it would have been like, shit, we've got to. We've really got to. Whereas now it's like, no, wouldn't it be great if we did? And I'm hoping that settles them down a little bit. But let's see. But I'm excited.
I'm kind of hoping it doesn't. I'm kind of hoping that it just kicks them on now, because we, as we said before, there's so many times we've got to the spot and we could kick on and we haven't. We've just sat there and we've done what everyone else does. I want us to kick on now and stake a place, cement our place, our even top four position there. And because I want to be coming into that chat tomorrow and.
Derby is an attacker.
Yes, that's what we want tomorrow. W's in the chat after our win. That's I'll bring that on tomorrow night. So yeah, no, we have been given a great opportunity now to kick on a bit. And I kind of want to fast forward and have those 3 wins under our belt. But no, one game at a time. The Eddie Howe way. Focus on this Leicester game. Let's get this job done.
You boys know my thoughts on this is that we need to win tomorrow. We need to win well. We need to make sure we send the message tomorrow. I'm looking at that goal difference as well, boys. We got +10. You got Man City, Chelsea on +14. Forest on +17. Forest on +14. This is an opportunity not just to get 3 points on the board, but try and get that goal difference up. Can we put another 3 or 4 past Leicester tomorrow night? That's the thing. Obviously, we want to win. And Juventus Juventus have scored. Yes,
20 million has
we
scored.
we are 39 minutes in. They have scored. So yes, happy days on the Kelly watch there. But look, for me, let's try and get that goal difference up. Let's try and use games like this as an opportunity to kind of make headway in that goal difference, because it could well be part of a conversation as we get closer towards the end of the season. And it could make the difference if it does come down to that and we are so tight on points. It's chopping and changing all the time, and it will chop and change again, because if we do win against Leicester, and I hope and I expect that we do, we have them Man United on the Sunday. You look at the games that are coming up for the teams around us. Man City at home to Palace. Villa, I think, are away at Southampton, which you'd expect to win. Chelsea are at home to Ipswich. You expect those 3 teams to pick up those points. And you would expect them to all pick up 3 points off the back of that. So we then need to go and do another job on Man United and get that win again. So it's going to be constant pressure and constant looking at the whole situation as it unfolds. Forest have got Everton at home. Could be a potential banana skin, but you do expect them to win that. So we need to win tomorrow night, but we also need to keep winning, because any chance that we do lose, we don't want to be dropping any points, and we want to make sure that when it comes to next Wednesday, a week on Wednesday, and we've got Palace at home, we want to make sure that game means something. So it means something in positive to us, because at this moment in time, we win those 2 games in hand, we go on 56 points. Okay, if we were to play those 2 games now, 56 points puts us in 4th position, and we're in a comfortable spot, right?
In control of our own destiny.
Exactly. And it puts us in that position. Now, say, for example, Forest lose against Everton and it's a shock result, and we go and win against Leicester and then win the next 2. So next 3, for example, if we go and win that, we go above Forest. And so that puts us in that potentially puts us in a great position off the back of that. And it brings Forest into that conversation more, and it puts us at the top of that list where we're looking down at the rest of the teams that are then fighting out below us. So it could change very quickly in a positive way for us, but equally, we've got to go and do the job, because it can also go the other way. We don't want to be where we are currently right now, where the other teams have got the jump on us because they've got more points, and we're scratching and clawing and hoping that they're going to drop points. So that's kind of where I am with that. But anything else, boys, on the league, on the table, on the results? Anything else you want to add to that?
No, looking forward to looking at it again tomorrow evening. When it's sort of dusted, hopefully, with that W.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. Well, boys, the big match preview is in. It's done and dusted for another week. We just now need the boys to go and turn up at the King Power and do the job. Massive thanks to everyone. We've got 190 in the chat. Make sure you click those likes up. Get those likes well up to 150 if we can before the show ends. Great to have your support as always. Great comments in there. We're coming into a big week now, which we'll talk more about tomorrow with regards to the charity match, with regards to the Man U game, and everything that we're going to be talking about for next weekend. But boys, until then, let's go and get the win. Come on.
Go on for the W. Night, everyone. See you the next one.
Each and every single day, I know I'm gonna have to eventually give you